mostly primarily engineers. This progression is, of course, supported by a strong partner network that we're extremely proud of. Since the beginning, our engineering team has developed several embedded security products, including wolfCrypt with DL178 support, a FIPS 140-3 certification, and FIPS ready offering, MQTT up to the V5 specification, SSH v2, TPM 2.0, and a secure bootloader known as wolfboot, Java wrappers and JSSE support and commercial support for curl, and our newest product offering, wolfHSM. These offerings are all accompanied by thorough maintenance and support plans up to the 24/7 level. We also offer full service consulting. And with that, I'd like to turn over to Anthony to discuss reasons to migrate from OpenSSL to wolfSSL.
Hey, Cameron, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Excellent, excellent. I'll assume that means that everybody else in the audience can hear me as well. All right, so we're going to talk about reasons to migrate from OpenSSL to wolfSSL. And you know there are many reasons, but we've divided them into, we're not going to go over every single reason because everybody has their own reasons, but we've noticed that there are certain ones that we keep on coming across over and over again. And we've divided them into business reasons and technical reasons. So we're going to go over the business reasons first, and it's not going to be a crazy long list, but and then after that, we're going to go into the technical reasons. So, the thing that's top of everybody's mind and the thing that's near and dear to our hearts is FIPS 140-3. We only recently, very recently got our certification. I think it's been less than a month now, maybe only 2 weeks. And that certification means that when you buy our stuff, when you use wolfCrypt, and you've licensed it under our FIPS licensing agreement, you will now be able to go to the US government, the Canadian government, and various other organizations and say that you are now using FIPS certified cryptography. And if you don't have the certification, it can be a deal breaker, right? So it's a really big deal for us and our customers and the industry at large. So basically, the question now is, yes, we have our certification, but when will OpenSSL? Sorry, Cameron, did you say my slides are not showing?
Oh, hey, yes, they got minimized there.
Really? So my you can't see FIPS 140-3 in the top left corner?
No.
Uh-oh. You know what? I gotta share again. That's what it is. Um, let's see, desktop 2, share. How does that look? Can you see them now?
No, it's just just us two.
Big hard. Okay, that's interesting. Let's see if I can. Huh. Okay, desktop 2. Let me know if you see that now. Sorry about the technical
No.
dis Sorry about the technical difficulties, everyone. Okay, I'm gonna try stop sharing. Okay, so I see it's just you and me.
Hmm.
And now I'll try screen share again and desktop 2.
Oh, hey, okay. I guess it's going out. I guess other people could see it. It might have just been my computer for some reason, but cool.
Okay, so everybody can see my screen now? I'm gonna assume
Yeah.
that y'all can see my slides. This particular slide has the word FIPS 140-3 at the top left corner, and then in the very center of the screen, it says, when will OpenSSL FIPS be FIPS certified? Can
Cool. Yeah,
someone,
yeah, I got some notifications. We could see that.
okay, good. I'm gonna go to switch to the next slide just to, oops, yep, there we go. Okay, so when will OpenSSLs be FIPS certified? And the answer is we don't know, right? We've been through the process. It took us several like years and months, like on the order of years to get our certification. But we were one of the first to get started in the process, and we got it done. We got it done, and we got it. Um, sorry, but during that time was a tumultuous time in the in NIST. So I'd imagine, they were doing a lot of work in parallel. It wasn't just doing like FIPS 140-3 certifications. They were also, trying to look at standardizing post-quantum cryptography. They were doing a lot of other things. Now I think things have settled down. So, you would think that they would be a bit more organized, and NIST will probably be a little bit faster in the process. But really, nobody really knows when OpenSSL's provider will be FIPS certified. There's no one's willing to make any prediction on that at all. So, given that, what can we say about us? Well, we can say that we have a FIPS 140-3 certificate for wolfCrypt. So if you use our software, you will be FIPS 140-3 certified. Of course, you have to use it under the correct licensing agreement with us, but that can all be arranged, and we're happy to help anybody and everybody that wants help with their FIPS 140-3 journey. Um, a very, very special note, if you look at this slide, as you can see, it's certificate 4718. Um, the sunset date is, what is that? July 10th, 2029, right? So this is a fully valid FIPS 140-3 certificate. What you'll hear out in the industry these days is that there's also this other kind of interim certificate. And those are under a different set of conditions. For the most notable condition is that it's only valid for 2 years. So if you go to another vendor and you say, hey, they've got another FIPS 140-3 certificate, one thing you might want to ask about is whether it's a full 140-3 certificate or if it's a interim certificate that only lasts 2 years. So support. OpenSSL now actually does offer, so only recently OpenSSL started offering technical support. So you can actually go to them and they will actually sell you a support package. The problem is that their support packages are really, really expensive. Their support packages are the same, like for the most basic level support, it's the same price as getting a FIPS license from us. So they're really, and with that, you don't even get a FIPS license, right? So, uh, sorry, with them, you wouldn't even get a FIPS license. With us, it's actually less money to get a FIPS license than just basic support from OpenSSL. And let's go over our support plans. At the most basic level, it's only $2,500 US, $2,500 per year. And at the standard level, we're at 8,000, and at premium, we're at 27,000. Now, well, those are big differences in pricing, but you get a lot of different features. The number of support incidences is unlimited when you go to premium. Um, when you go to premium, you get support over phone. And it's not just phone. That's kind of a misnomer. It's not just a voice helpline. We will set up Zoom or Microsoft Teams meetings with you guys, and we'll set it up so and you can do screen shares with us so we can see what you're seeing, and that helps us reproduce things. We actually really like our premium plan because it actually helps us help the customer because it allows for more flexibility in how we can interact with them, with our customers. Um, when it comes to, response times, um, we say 3 business days for basic, but it's never taken that long. We never take 3 business days. We're always as fast as we can be on these on support cases. And so yeah, it's 310 and unlimited in terms of number of incidents. So yeah, and we're really, really liberal with that. So, you can feel free to be in communication with us. And when we say instances, it's not like 3 emails and then you're cut off. It's one instance would be a report, and then all the emails that are back and forth until it's resolved. Okay, so let's also look at, what another reason you would switch over to wolfSSL is because of consulting and our consulting services. Um, so I have a link to a web page here, and that web page is right here. And so, Cameron, I'm just going to get you to confirm you can see the consulting web page.
Yep, I can see that.
Excellent. Good. So we've got various. So when you use Wolf when you come to Wolf SSL, and you don't just we don't just offer licensing. We offer real world help. Um, we can do a kickstart, which means adding support for your environment, your compiler, your TCP/IP stack. So anything that kind of like any kind of porting work is what we call Kickstart, and we offer that. Um, we offer feature additions. So let's say there's some sort of component in X509 certificates, like some sort of extension that we don't support. We could get that going easily. We offer wolfSSL training, right? So we could even go on site to wherever you are in the world, and we'll get there. And we can, be it online or on site, we can get it going, no problem at all. Before that happens, we would want to consult with you regarding, what specific training points you need. And most likely you won't need this because you can check out our YouTube channel. We've got extensive content on in-depth security topics and protocol topics. So most likely anything that you're interested in will already have a webinar about it. But if you're finding that you want training, whether it be live or online, we can get that done. So I talked about the Kickstarter, but we also have a different kind for porting wolfSSL. Um, so then we have, optimization consulting. Some people, generally speaking, if you give us a support request and you're looking for general optimization, we'll just treat that as a support request. But if you have specific goals and targets that you need to meet, we can turn that into a consulting gig, and we can figure out how to best optimize the code for your needs. Um, so the next thing is a FIPS start. So when we were talking about FIPS 140-3, it can be daunting for a customer. Their first time, you know, is the first time going through FIPS 140-3 is very, very it's very tough. It's alienating. It's kind of strange. There's a lot of paperwork involved, and there's a lot of other interactions that our customers just wouldn't necessarily be familiar with. For example, we have to go through a lab. So you would enlist our services, and then we would do the interaction with the certification lab for you. Um, we can do security architecture designs, and that's just sort of like, helping you with your documentation and stuff like that. And so a custom build is also with how you would want to, do you want to turn certain things on and off? How can we help you get what you need and meet your requirements in a custom fashion? And finally, we have rip and replace consulting, um, consulting as well, where if you're using something like what we're talking about right now in this talk, OpenSSL, usually there's not much work involved in moving to OpenSSL, or sorry, moving from OpenSSL to wolfSSL. But there might be certain things like certain missing APIs in our compatibility layer, or you might need to move to using something like Wolf Engine or our Wolf provider, and that might require a little bit more active consulting from us. And so we're willing to totally help you with that as well. And it's not just OpenSSL. We're also willing to help, rip out any other TLS library, TLS or SSL or, SSH library that you happen to be using. Okay. So that's enough about our consulting services. And to be clear, I don't think you're going to be able to get these kind of consulting services from from the OpenSSL organization, right? This is something that we're really good at, that we've done over and over and over again, and we can always help. Oops. So another great reason you're going to want to switch over from OpenSSL to wolfSSL is that we are a professional business entity. Um, we'll sign NDAs with you. If there's work to be done, any kind of consulting, before the consulting happens, there is a kind of conversation to understand your needs, and then we'll write it all out in a written SOW so that you know what to expect. And then when the work is done, you can go back and compare what was on the SOW with what you got, with what we did, sorry. We have, legally binding contracts. We're wolfSSL Inc. So we're a professional or like not only just a professional organization, but a corporation and recognized by state and federal level governments. Uh, we have commercial licensing options, which is a big one, right? Like we can tailor our licensing to you and to your needs. You're not going to get in the final product that we give you, you're not going to get GPL headers at the top of any of the files. Okay, everything will be commercially licensed, and you will have in your hand a legal document that says you have a commercial license to use wolfSSL software. We do professional billing. So, for if you have an accountant that requires invoices or requires, you know, receipts and stuff, we do that for you. And we have a whole staff dedicated to billing. We also have, as I said earlier, we're incorporated. We're wolfSSL Inc. And so you can deal with us and know that you're dealing with a legally incorporated entity. We've got a legal team, we've got a billing team, and we've got, a whole slew of organization just for doing business with our customers. Okay, so those were the business reasons of why you would want to switch to wolfSSL from OpenSSL. Let's get into the technical stuff. Um, okay, so the biggest reason we're seeing these days is that people just don't want to switch to the newest OpenSSL 3.x.y branch, right? Um, if you're familiar with OpenSSL, it started out with version 0.9.7, and then it kind of moved into a 102, 1.0.1, but most people use 1.0.2 branch of releases for a long time. And then they switched to 1.1.1. And then after 1.1.1, it basically moved to 3. But between before moving to 3, OpenSSL had kind of kept a good, I wouldn't say good, but they were pretty good at keeping the API stable. But upon moving to 3, there is no users should not have an expectation of full backwards compatibility. There is no compatibility guide released from the OpenSSL org. Instead, what they have is a migration guide. And the biggest chapter in their migration guide is, the list of deprecation of all the of functions. So if you're going to get deprecated, you're going to have massive code changes in your own application anyways. So is there an advantage to going to OpenSSL 3? Not really. I mean, we're seeing a lot of people say that OpenSSL 3 is not very performant. Um, it's got problems in code size. It's got a new provider system, so engines aren't going to be working anymore. Um, it's a whole slew of weird. It's just a very strange experience for the end user. And the solution is to just use our OpenSSL compatibility layer. You don't have to change anything, and we will continue maintaining our compatibility layer and all the source code underneath it. Um, Memory consumption is a big one, right? So we're looking at um, customers are telling us that memory consumption is huge. And I have a feeling that I understand why. And it's because it's the new provider infrastructure that they have underneath OpenSSL. And what that means is there's a lot of abstraction. So there's a lot of abstraction in the code. And so you're going to but all that abstraction, it isn't like in macros. It isn't just like um, in different in in the preprocessor side. It's actual like structures that abstract away certain details about about all the algorithms, and that abstraction layer causes a lot of overhead. And so that's probably where memory consumption is coming in and performance is um, getting hit. So we have a whole performance tuning um, chapter in our manual. We have massive customizability within wolfSSL and wolfCrypt. So this is a great place to start. Um, DTLS 1.3. What's going on with OpenSSL and DTLS 1.3? Um, the answer is nothing, as far as I can tell. I've been looking around and waiting for DTLS 1.3 support so that we can do interop testing with them. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any action on this front. Um, wolfSSL, on the other hand, has supported DTLS 1.3 for, I think, over a year now. I think as soon as the standard was like the RFC was ratified as a standard, we already had support for it. And I'll be talking a bit more about this on my final slide when we talk about Post-Quantun. QUIC. So when will OpenSSL support a common API for QUIC implementations to use? And the answer is nobody really knows. It could be never. Um, so what's going on here? So does OpenSSL support QUIC? Well, in a way they do, but not in a way that allows for actual QUIC implementations to use the TLS that they provide. So QUIC is a protocol, um, and it's implemented by libraries such as ng-tcp2 as well as curl. And so what happens is but in order for them to implement it, they needed a standardized API underneath. So a lot of different libraries have kind of made that standardized API, but OpenSSL has chosen not to use that standardized API and instead gone with their own kind of interface. Um, and so when you go with OpenSSL, it's kind of jarring, right? Because you don't really know, you don't really understand why or how to do QUIC with them because they just don't do it. They don't have the interface that everybody else does. The solution is obviously to move to wolfSSL and use dash dash enable-quic and then build NGC TCP2 on top of it, and you're off to the races. Everything's normal again. So yeah, it's a little bit strange and a little bit jarring as to their approach. Um, Hardware modules. This is where we shine. Um, OpenSSL does not support third-party, does not support hardware optimizations. Instead, what they've historically done is allow vendors to make engines and now providers, and then these engines and providers will do the optimization. Um, but wolfSSL, we love doing supporting hardware modules. We partner with many hardware vendors and support everything that they have. Um, So just tell us which part you want to use. That's a simple email to support@wolfSSL.com. Even if you're not yet a customer, we do pre-sale support, and you can let us know what part you want to use. More often than not, it's already supported. You've already got support for that in wolfSSL. But if it's not in there, we'll get it in there. Um, we will work to support whatever hardware our customers want us to support. No problem. But this actually opens up another question, another good point, which is if the for OpenSSL, if the support is through engines and providers, and those engines and providers are done by third-party hardware, the third party that makes the hardware, where do you get support? Is OpenSSL going to support you? Or is it going to be the third-party engine builder that supports you? Um, and then when you figure out that that there's a bug, you know, who's gonna fix it? Is it just gonna be the vendors pointing their fingers at OpenSSL and OpenSSL pointing their fingers at the vendors? Likely, that's gonna be what happens. But with wolfSSL, we do the integration. So, when you find a problem, we're going to fix it. There's no one to point fingers at. We're just going to fix it. So that's a really great reason. There's only one place. We're a one-stop shop. You tell us what the problem is and we fix it. Another great reason to come to wolfSSL is that we have supported, and note that supported is in bold. Um, a supported integrated suite of libraries and applications that work around wolfSSL. Notably, curl. The curl project is maintained by Daniel Stenberg, and he is a member of the wolfSSL team. So if you wanted to get curl support, you would come through that would come through us. So that's a really strong factor, the curl can be built to use wolfSSL. We have wolfSSH, wolfboot, a bootloader, wolfMQTT, a bunch of wolfSentry, and our OSP repo has a bunch of open source projects. That's what OSP stands for, open source projects that allow that show how to use our OpenSSL compatibility layer to build against just a slew of open source projects, be they web servers, S-tunnel, you name it. There's lots and lots and lots of projects there. And again, if you don't find what you're looking for, send an email to support@wolfSSL.com, and we'll look into the effort to bring support for that particular library. Oh, and here's another one that we take very seriously, and it's CVEs. When a CVE is found in our code, we fix it. We have we have standards around our reaction time and around how long we take to fix vulnerabilities. OpenSSL, on the other hand, has stated specifically that these CVEs, which are found in pre-OpenSSL 3 release of branches, sorry, branch of releases. So back in the 1.1.1 era, these won't get fixed because they've end of lifed everything before OpenSSL 3. So you can use if you're finding problems with these, you can use our OpenSSL compatibility layer and we promise you that if you find a vulnerability, we'll fix it, right? And we'll still maintain these APIs for you that you already use in OpenSSL. And finally, I'd like to talk a little bit about Post-Quantun. Um, as you all already, as maybe not everybody, but some people might realize, NIST just recently, last week, released standards for MLChem, MLDSA, and SLHDSA. These are post-quantum algorithms that everybody will need to migrate to very soon. The US government has various documents and various standards and like White House memorandums that state that everybody needs to move to this now, everybody being people in the government. So, we have not been ignoring post-quantum. We have been very, very active in keeping up to date with what's been going on in the community, doing integrations, and doing interop testing with various organizations such as NIST. NIST is running an NCCOE post-quantum migration project, and we're heavy participants in that. We even already have our own implementations of MLDSA and MLChem. Now, what does that mean? That means that, you'll be able to start your post-quantum journey now, which is essentially when you're supposed to be doing it right now. But how does that work with OpenSSL? Well, OpenSSL has basically ignored post-quantum and everything. Like if you look in their repo, there is no and on their website, there's no mention of post-quantum. And the reason why is because I think what they're doing is they're using the provider architecture to allow for other parties to provide post-quantum algorithms, which is an interesting approach. But again, begs the question, where do you get support? Is the problem in OpenSSL or is it in the third-party provider? Do people start pointing fingers at each other? I mean, it goes on and on and on. If you find a problem in any of our post-quantum implementations or any integration, if it's in wolfSSL, we fix it. We fix it. There's no one for us to point to. There's no one there's nothing else. We fix our software, period. And this is another thing. And so one other thing that post-quantum brings up is that no one expects post-quantum algorithms to be in TLS 1.2 because everything is going to be in TLS 1.3. So post-quantum algorithms are coming into TLS 1.3. But that begs the question, what about DTLS 1.3? What about all our customers that are all the people that are using OpenSSL that are using DTLS 1.2, but want to use post-quantum? Well, the standards aren't going to bother updating DTLS 1.2 for post-quantum. They're going to update DTLS 1.3. And so if you want to use post-quantum in DTLS, you have to switch to DTLS 1.3. But that begs the question, where are you going to get DTLS 1.3 support? That's with us. We can help you there. We already have it. We already have MLDSA, and MLChem working in DTLS 1.3. So I think we have a very powerful argument right there for moving over to wolfSSL. Okay, that ends all the points that I had. Um, I guess I'll open up the floor to see if there are any questions.
Right. Thank you, Anthony. Weeks. All right, here. First, will wolfSSL support the 3.x APIs, assuming code bases have already moved?
Currently we don't. We haven't actually seen much interest in so the we have our compatibility layer. We see a lot of interest in people not wanting to move to 3.x.y, so they use our compatibility layer. There's not many people who have moved and then said, "Oh yeah, can you support us here?" But that said, we are very customer demand driven. Um, if you find if you want to move from 3.x.y and there are a couple APIs that you need from OpenSSL that you need us to support, we'll do it. We'll get right on it. So yeah, there is no plan right now because we don't see the demand, but as soon as the demand happens, we will do it. Thanks for asking that question. Excellent question.
Right here
Sorry.
next, you're good. Um, how would we use wolfSSL to migrate from OpenSSL on Linux to an embedded RTOS?
Um, that's a really good question, and let's talk about why you would want to do that first. And the reason why is obviously cost, right? So if you're going to have, if you're on like maybe you're just prototyping on Linux first, and you realize that whoa, if even the cheapest thing to do would be a Raspberry Pi, and that's still too much, so you want to go to a microprocessor. And so the first step is to take your application and make it as small as possible, obviously. The next step then is to build against wolfSSL's compatibility layer, right? And then once you got that building and everything was working properly as expected, then you would build wolfSSL on your real-time OS of choice on top of your hardware, your microcontroller of choice. And then you would then bring your application code to that RTOS, um, real-time operating system, sorry, with wolfSSL already underneath it, and you would just sort of get that working. Thanks for asking that excellent question.
Cool, thank you. Next here, when is engine more appropriate than compatibility layer?
Good. Yeah, I only briefly talked about Wolf Engine. So let me explain what Wolf Engine is. OpenSSL allows in the 1.1.1 and previous releases, wolfSSL up for what's called an engine. And an engine basically is something that overrides OpenSSL's implementations and allows you to use someone else's it allows you to override OpenSSL's implementations with someone else's, maybe a third party or your own implementation. And they're in the form of shared libraries. Now, when is it not appropriate to use a compatibility layer? Um, the compatibility layer is a bunch of like functions and APIs. And so in 1.1.1 and earlier, some of the data structures were public and not opaque. And so if you, as an application developer, had, touched some of the members of those structures, then you're going to have problems linking with wolfSSL. And so at that point, the Wolf engine might be more appropriate because you're going to need to um, work the members of our structures aren't necessarily the same as the members of the OpenSSL structs. But our API compatibility layer is. So the function name, if you're only changing the function names and never touching the insides of the structures, the data inside the structures, then it's appropriate to use our compatibility layer. Thank you. Next question.
All right, next question here. Does wolfSSL have a fixed release cycle?
I wouldn't call it fixed, but generally speaking, we do 4 releases a year. And we might, if something comes up like an emergency vulnerability, we'll roll one right away. So generally speaking, it's either 3 or 4, and then maybe like one emergency release for vulnerabilities. But it's not necessarily written in stone. Uh,
Awesome.
is there another one?
Yep, one more. Does compatibility layer support 3.x.y APIs? Oh wait, I think that answers that question. You already answered that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, I think that. Oh, go ahead.
Just to reiterate, yeah, we are very customer focused. If a customer finds that they want 3.x.y uh, OpenSSL API in the compatibility layer, we'll get it in there, no problem.
Awesome. Thank you, Anthony, for hosting an informative webinar. Thank you for everybody who joined. I will be emailing out a copy of the webinar and PDF slides. You can keep up with our events, meet our team in person, and read our blog posts and get the latest Wolf SSL updates by following us on X, connecting with us on LinkedIn, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have any questions at all that come up after this, don't hesitate to email us at facts@wolfSSL.com. We're always here to help. And thanks again. We look forward to seeing you next week on August 28th for our upcoming webinar, World's First SP 800 140 BR1 FIPS 140-3 certified certificate 4718. Have a great day.
Thanks for hosting, Cameron.
Thank you.